We now move into a module on Russia and the Soviet Union and Russia. Here we want to do the similar thing by exploring differences in dominant images as they lived in the Soviet Union with those in the United States. The subtitle for this module is called Ball Bearings for Paper Mills Engineer. And my challenge here is to help you understand a world in where it's possible to become and be and serve as a ball bearings for paper mills engineer. In this module, I have a couple of main points that I want to make sure you understand. First of all, I want to help you see the extent to which the Soviet Union was built as a reaction to capitalism, including the United States, and involved the development of a number of dreams about possible alternative futures. The goal was to build a society that had all the positive benefits, the commitment to freedom and indeed equality in the West, but didn't suffer some of the problems that were experienced in the West. Remember, the time period we're talking about here is late 19th century and then into the early 20th century. If you're standing in Europe, looking back over to the United States and indeed to Western Europe, remember that it was in the early 19th century when the Industrial Revolution takes hold in England. And if you read any Charles Dickens, you have some sense of concern about class differences born and bred in a way through the development of capitalism during and after the Industrial Revolution. Then in the United States in the late 19th century, that is when the labor movements first got started as a response to labor problems, Haymarket Massacre, strikes, conflicts between labor and management with police involvement. Europeans were well aware of this. Russians were well aware of what was going on. And they wanted to build something that was an alternative. So we'll discuss the extent in which the Soviet Union built itself as a reaction to capitalism. And the second point, the main point for us, is that we're going to be discussing a world in which engineers always had a political identity. In the United States, engineers develop an identity built wholly in a technical sense, drawing a sharp distinction between technical worlds and worlds of politics, but at the same time being always frustrated that there's politics there that we have to deal with. I want you to see and experience a case in which engineers' arguments for particular technologies were interpreted in part in political terms. And hopefully we'll take that insight later on back into the United States to help you see and reinforce the point which we made earlier, that no matter where you are and what you're doing as an engineer, you're always going to be dealing with politics. Now, the background reading is Loren Graham's The Ghost of the Executed Engineer, which is a very interesting book. It's a very readable book. It's the easiest reading in this course for you, and I trust you'll enjoy it. The time period within which we're working, again, is late 19th century, pretty much up to the present, but with a focus here on the period from the very beginning of the 20th century into the early 30s. I want to help you understand, one way of understanding the political dimensions of engineering in the Soviet Union is by paying attention and by gaining a sense of the dramatic political changes that took place over a very short period of time.